Well, that didn't go as I planned.
Good morning. I am running a little behind, but we're going to go do a workout today. So what's a little bit different about this training block for the 10 miler that's different from the 10K training is that I hired a coach. I hired my friend Katie, Dr. Katie. I actually met her on the retreat I did in Arkansas. There's that whole video that breaks it down, but she was one of my cabin mates. She's a PT based out of Miami, and she works with a lot of coaches specifically, but she also just has this fantastic approach to physical therapy and training in general that I really vibe with. So I'm sure you'll hear a little bit more about her throughout the video. Right now we are on our way to the gym before I train a client in like an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to do our lower body strength day. So what I'm doing with Katie is a lower upper full split because we want to make sure that with the running included, which she also is programmed for me, we just want to make sure that I wasn't doing like lower body every single day. So I'll take you behind the scenes of that. Voiceover Justina will give you a little breakdown. People are staring at me, filming myself, so we're going to go.
So like I said, this workout is my lower body lift, and what I'm loving is the simplicity. After the warm-up, it's just 5 exercises. So you can see here I've got a snatch to a reverse lunge, and this is just a little drill to get the nervous system fired. And honestly, I told Katie I love kettlebell skills, so I'm sure she put this in to make me happy. Then we moved into the bulk of the workout, which was 2 supersets, starting out with barbell back squats, which I haven't trained in like 3 years? 4 years? I'm honestly not a big fan, but one of our goals is to get my glutes as strong as my quads and hamstrings because they are slacking. So she has me working on more of an eccentric tempo, so down slow for 3 seconds and then up a bit faster. And I'm just keeping these light until I feel a bit more confident. Now this was paired with an elevated side plank, and we progressed this week with a little leg lift. This is great for the abductors and overall pelvic stability, which I've needed because I've had a sprinkling of hip issues toward the end of my 10K training. Then we moved into Bulgarians with more of a glute focus, so that means that I'm taking a little bit more of a hinge position on the way down. And same reasoning as the back squat. Let's get these glutes growing, baby. That's paired with more of an adductor focused side plank variation. And you can see that overall this is pretty low volume. The main focus of this training is to get my legs strong enough to support my runs. So we're basically peeling back any of the extra things that are just overly fatiguing on my system. And so far, I'm feeling great.
We're gonna go to speed run. It is, my whole hip just cracked. This is my 4th week of training, so training with my coach for this 10 mile. So this is my last day of this specific speed workout. What we've been doing is quarter to half mile warm up at like zone 2. I can't really run at zone 2. So I just try to run as slow as I can. And I've been doing this at the park. So I do a quarter to half mile over to the park because we have a track there. And then I'm gonna do the bulk of the workout, which is 4 800-meter intervals with a 2-minute break in between. The 2-minute break is walking. Pacing has been a little different every week. Last week I definitely sped up a lot, but it was also cooler. Today it is very hot. So my recommended pace was like 10:20, but last week I was more like 9:30 to 9:45. So we'll see what happens today. But we've also just really been trying to like work more on identifying like RPE or like rate of perceived exertion and using that because I'm still so novice that I don't really have like great feedback from all of my numbers quite yet. So anyway, and then after the intervals, I do a cool down, same thing, quarter to half mile. It is currently 1:07. It's far too late in the day in the summer to be doing a track workout outdoors. But last night I went to go see Kesha, and I woke up this morning at 8 with the full intention of going to go do this at 9 before my clients today. And I was like, I might shit my pants if I go try to do this right now. Just keeping it real. So anyway, we are gonna, I'm just letting my headphones charge for a sec. I'm gonna drink a little bit of water. Let's do our warm up and then we'll head over to the track.
All right, I just ran over. Actually really proud of myself because I ran really slow. It was like a 12:30 pace. I literally like cannot run slow outside, so that's actually a win for me, slowing down. So that felt super easy. Love that. We're making our way over to the track now, and we'll start with our first interval. Done. Well, I didn't do the cool down yet. but I'm gonna do that in just a minute and make my way to the edge of the park. And then when I keep it on the lower side, quarter mile. That was pretty tough today. Proud of my times. I think it's pretty comparable to last week. It just felt a little more intense. I'd say last week was like a 7 RP. Today was definitely pushing 8, 8.5. It's hot. It's like 86 degrees. Luckily, there's a nice breeze though, so could have been worse. I'm really excited to see how these progress, these intervals, and I'm really just trying to be super specific with each type of run I'm doing. Am I doing a tempo run, a recovery run, a speed run, distance, and basing my effort off of what exactly I'm trying to recruit and adapt from them. So yeah, thank God I packed electrolytes. I'm sweating like an animal. Great.
Good morning. It is Saturday, August something, and we're gonna run the longest distance we've run so far. It's 6.5 miles. I've been like fighting an illness off for 2 weeks now, and it like is still trying to like get me, and I keep like, getting away from it. So we're just gonna continue to ignore that is a possibility, and let's get dressed. Nailed it. I don't know why I've just decided that you're staying in that corner. Let's talk about the route today. Today is actually much more exciting than I'm making it sound. It is Summer Streets in New York City. So I think there's 5 weekends of it, 3 in Manhattan, 1 in Queens, 1 in Brooklyn. It's basically where they take a stretch of street and they shut it down to cars. So people will run, they'll bike, but sometimes there'll be like vendors out. So it's just like a fun thing. I have missed all of them so far this summer, and I actually think today is the only one I can do because I'm going to be away next weekend as well. So here's a game plan. I'm going to run from my apartment over the Queensboro Bridge because they actually just opened up a new footpath just for pedestrians, and I've heard such great things about it. So we're going to go do that. We're going to cut across to Park Avenue, and then we're just going to go up Park. I think 6.5 miles is going to end right around where the Central Park ends, so around like 110. So then I'm going to cool down walk up to 125th and take the M60 right back into Astoria. That sounds like a good plan, right? What could go wrong? I'm not gonna be lazy. Let's move you. We're gonna start to stretch a little bit because I'm feeling very creaky. And let's talk a little bit about how I'm approaching my long runs with this training with my coach versus how I was approaching them before. So I think the number one thing that I've learned from working with my coach is like, let's think about the adaptation that you want from each different type of run. This is a great angle. Maybe I should turn the side a little bit. So today's a long run, and she calls it a long aerobic run. The RPE we're going for, rate of perceived exertion, is a 5 to 6, so pretty low. And we've honestly just taken heart rate like out of the equation for pretty much everything because since I'm so novice, it's not going to be super applicable to me yet. But essentially what I want to do with these long runs is run it 1 to 2 minutes slower than I would for like a race. So essentially these are going to be numbers that I'm not necessarily going to be like really excited to like share on social media. Nothing is super impressive about it. Also, just so everyone's on the same page, impressive and fast and slow, like these are all relative. So I'm literally just talking about me. I don't want you to compare like your numbers to my numbers and then be like, oh, Justina thinks I'm slow. No. Like this is slow for me. But what I was doing before with like, this is not by fault of the Nike Run Club. This is just me not knowing, because I do think that their programs are actually really great for beginners. But like I was more so running those distance runs like at my race pace, and I was trying to like run them as fast as possible and get like really impressive numbers with it. And that's just not going to be the best use of those distances. Now, it ended up all being fine for me, but the longest distance I was running in there was a 10K. So we're going for 10 miles now. So yeah, so today should feel easy. I think something else I've learned is that like if you need to stop, you stop. I think I always used to get very like, you have to do this whole thing without stopping once, including for cars and streetlights and things like that. You stop, you stop. It's less about getting the unbroken mileage and just getting the mileage. So then for something like a tempo run, we're looking for something a little bit closer to a race pace. Then for something like a speed run, we're trying to work higher than our race pace. Really just remembering like, honestly, why are we doing this? Remember your why. So I've had to really tell my ego to shut the fuck up. I was actually really proud of myself in last week's long run, which I did at the beach on vacation. My first mile was like in the 12-minute range. And I was like, wow, I've actually never run this slow outside. This is a win. So we're gonna continue to warm up and we're just gonna go. The nice thing is we just get to leave from the apartment. Honestly, it's nice because I just get to start and I don't have to like build in that commute time. Can you hear it? I'm fighting it. I'm fighting it real hard. Let's go.
1 mile in. We are down by Kaufman Astoria Studios, very famous. 12:05 pace. Love it. Feel great. Let's go. All right, we're in Long Island City. We're about to go over the bridge. I'll put my pace on the screen. I don't remember it, but feeling good. It's going to be a little bit of a hill, but I'm excited to see this new path. All right, I sped up a little. My average pace is in the 11s now, which is good. After I get off the bridge, I'm going to stop and take a gel. Ooh, that was a climb. We're downhill from here. Let's get our heart rate going. All right, 4 miles done. We are coming up on Summer Streets. Look at this. I'll show you when we get there.
But then when the resident like discussion comes out, then it's a severe increase rate, which is like about 5%. Yeah. So it could be good or bad.
5 in, 11 something average pace. I don't know. I'm ignoring it. Going on 5s. Let's finish it out. All right, half a mile left. My left ankle and calf were feeling pretty tight. They were already pretty tight to begin with this morning, so this doesn't help. I started to feel a little bit nauseous, so I'm taking a salt tab. Hopefully that'll help with the calf too. Might just be a little dehydrated. I'll just sip of these electrolytes. We're at 96th Street. We should be down around 110-ish. Over there. We're almost there. Let's go. All right, we finished. Ooh, I forgot to end that on my watch. Woo! Ended it a little bit early. We're down at like 106. I think just because in Astoria too, I was kind of bobbing and weaving, so I added on a few extra blocks. But feeling good. Definitely calf tightness. Doesn't feel like pain, but just feels like restricted. It's also on that side that I had surgery on my ankle, so that all kind of tracks. And they were already feeling tight in the morning, so honestly, I'm not concerned about it. I think just because of vacation, all of my workouts have been kind of pushed together, so my legs are just a little fatigued. But honestly, that felt good. I'd say for most of it this week, like a 5 RP, touching a 6 a handful of times, and I stayed fucking slow. I know it might look like I'm getting slower each week, but I actually think I'm just understanding my gears a little more and when I need which ones. I'm going to cool down walk it. It's about a mile from here. I'm just going to keep walking up to the 125th. Catch the M60, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Good morning. All right, so today I'm going to take you for a full body day. We're currently in the second block of my training program with Dr. Katie, and this is a little bit more of like a pull focus day. So our main lifts are going to be step downs, a deficit trap bar deadlift, and chin-ups. And then there's like some kettlebell work in there. Honestly, this is the third week in this block, and this workout has been like, I guess, kicking my ass, but like it's just been really hard to navigate week to week. It's a lot on my grip. It's just like I didn't realize how like taxing it would be on my nervous system. So even though I do love the trap bar, I've been kind of dreading it. So we're gonna really try and change that around in week 3 here. And the only other thing is it is a little bit earlier than I would typically be going to the gym. I'm more of like a 2 p.m. girl. My body's just like naturally a lot more awake at that point. That's a luxury that I have. But I do have to go at 10 today because I'm seeing a show at 1. I'm also still on vacation in case anybody's like, why aren't you working? So all that means for me is that I know that especially if I'm going to be deadlifting, if I want to hit at least the same load that I hit last week, I'm just going to need to warm up my hips a little bit more, especially with these deficit deadlifts, which honestly, I'm not even standing on anything. I'm just flipping the bar upside down for the deficit because that's where my hips can handle right now. I lack some internal hip rotation. So when I'm getting that deep into a hinge, I just have a hard time not pulling from the low back at some point. So we're gonna have a little coffee, answer some emails, warm up the hips with a little kin stretch on the floor, and then we're gonna head to the gym. The main block of today's workout started with some deficit trap bar deadlifts, which have been so humbling. I actually haven't even been standing on a plate. I've just been flipping the bar over for more range of motion. Goal today was a 7 to 8 RP, so like 2 to 3 reps left in the tank, and I lifted 165 pounds. I have to be honest, it's frustrating for my ego because I can lift that for like 20 reps with the bar flipped the other way, but I just have to remember that we're chasing intensity and adaptation, not load here. Then I had a superset of chin-ups and step downs. I had to
do neutral grip today due to the options available to me, and we're working on cluster sets. So I do 2 to 3 reps, rest for 15 to 30 seconds, 2 to 3 reps, rest for 15 to 30 seconds, and then one more time, 2 to 3 reps. So that's one set, and I'm getting in anywhere from 6 to 9 reps per set. That was also paired with a step down, heavily focused on the glute. I did 3 sets of 10 with 24 kilos or like 53 pounds, which felt like a nice 7 out of 10 today. So I think I'm gonna go up in weight next week. And then finally, we got to my arch nemesis of this freaking workout, the kettlebell finisher. I adore kettlebell work, but holy hell, my grip is done by this point. And this is programmed as 2 to 3 unbroken rounds of cleans, rotating presses, and swings. And each week I've only been able to do 2 before my form and or grip has like broken down. But I was determined today. I chalked up and I did 3, which I was very happy about. But I also need to remember that over the past 2 years, most of my strength work has involved a lot of kettlebell skill stuff. And I just haven't been working on that recently because I've had other goals taking priority. So the lesson of today is reminding myself why something is programmed a certain way and pushing my ego aside.
Good morning. It is about 6:20 a.m. and we're going for a tempo run. It's actually Labor Day. I am working today. And for some reason I was possessed to wake up early and do this rather than do it at like 2 p.m. when it's 80 degrees. Yeah. So really quickly before we start to like get up, get moving, get the blood flowing, we're about 2 weeks out from the race. Actually 2 weeks. Yeah. 2 weeks. And I'm feeling really good. I had a few little like random things pop up. I think I filmed this part. My calf was a little irritated after that summer streets run. I started getting a little flare up of plantar fasciitis. What's been great is that I just tell my coach and she gives me some exercises and it fixes it. Who knew? So that's been really helpful and I've been really lucky to have that. I think it's just also been a good learning curve for me of like, if I start to feel stuff like that, being able to navigate, okay, is this where I push through or should I pull back? Especially this week is going to be pretty, I just did my taper, which means that I like barely ran last week, literally like 4.6 miles. So today we're really building back up, or this week we're really building back up. Today for my tempo run, it's 4 to 5 miles between around like a 10:30 pace. We've decided that my goal is a 10:30 pace for the race, which is an hour 45, which I feel is for myself respectable. So that's my goal. So tempo runs are basically where you are kind of practicing more of that race pace and getting your body able to run at kind of that uncomfortable area for longer. So typically tempo runs are a little bit shorter. I feel like most of my training, it's just been like, go run a 5K at your tempo pace. So 4 to 5 miles is a little longer. Because I'm an overachiever, anytime my coach gives me a range, I'm always aiming for the upper range. But after summer streets, where I had a range and I was in it, and then my calf started hurting, but I was like, I'm gonna finish the range anyway. Now I just kind of know, especially this week as we're getting close, if I'm in that range and something starts flaring up, just be done. It's not worth the extra mileage. I think I'm so concerned about the fact that like I'm still really building up my tissue tolerance, so I get nervous like, oh well, if I don't hit this full range then I'm missing out. But really it's just my body telling me like, this is where your tolerance is and you've hit the wall, so you need to stop. So anyway, that's where we're at. I'm gonna start to get up because it's 6:30. I need to eat something. I already picked out my clothes from last night. It's a little chilly. I think I actually might wear like a jacket, like a little windbreaker. I can't believe I'm done with like summer running. I actually don't know how I feel about it. I feel like I got really used to just like shorts and a sports bra. I feel like that season's over. Okay. Oh. This belt is like a little stretched out and big. So I do a little tack and I do a little tack. Yeah, I could buy another one, but this works and I don't want to spend more money. All right, I'm gonna bring these, but it's not really sunny yet. I really need to get better about hydrating during runs. So I'm just trying to practice all of these things. Like, do I really need this? No. But I'm trying to practice these things and train my stomach. Like, Do I need to take a gel at 30 minutes today? No, but I'm trying to train my stomach. I'm also someone, again, I'm so new to this, so I'm like, the more things that I can practice for race day, so like, I know I'm gonna wear this belt, so let's practice with this belt. I know I'm gonna bring a water because I don't trust hydration stations, so I'm gonna practice that. Practice with my gels, like, practice with the headphones that I'm gonna have on. So I'm trying to practice as many things as possible just because I am new. So anyway, let's get these headphones fired up and let's go.
Do you know what bridge is this?
The Hellgate Bridge.
Hellgate.
Yeah.
Where does it end up in?
I think just Randall's Island.
Oh, there.
Yeah, but I don't think cars go across anymore. Just thing.
Oh, it's car doesn't. And you know what? I'm telling her that's cars. So no cars going in.
Not on that anymore.
It's just Amtrak.
Amtrak, and then like delivery train.
Okay, so the Hellgate Bridge.
Hellgate, yeah.
Hellgate.
Yeah.
And that's the tri-bar, right?
Yep.
So now, okay, so they use it on Randall's Island.
Yep.
What about Alyssa? Use it as
I just Zoe. Yeah. So give us the thing. Like Boston. Yeah. Some always mad there is a stop Victoria.
right? You're gonna
Jump off. Yeah. Take care. God bless.
Thank you.
Of course. Have a good one.
It's something after all this time in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your first.
All right, here are the stats. Honestly, felt fine. Definitely, this was a mistake. I was hot immediately, so actually the first half of the run was way more uncomfortable than the second half because I was just hot. Once I took that off when I took my gel and got to meet those lovely ladies, I felt instantly better. So the second half of the run felt a lot better than the first. I think in general, just like it was mentally challenging and like physically uncomfortable, but not impossible, which is exactly like what a tempo run should be. You're just getting yourself mentally and physically used to being at that race pace, which is just uncomfortable, but it should be sustainable. So I'm really happy with this pacing. Again, my goal race pace for like average is 10:30. So hitting 10:22 at half the distance, I'm still thrilled with. What I do need to practice, and this is my job on my long runs on Wednesday and this weekend, I need to practice taking a gel while running because that's what I plan to do during the race, or at least walk for a second to take it. I've already mapped out what miles I'm prepared to take my gels at during the actual race. But I need to start practicing that because I like stop, take my time, but I need to start like getting coordinated enough to do both. So that's the next goal. Anyway, we'll check in at some point. We have to pick up our bib still. We gotta talk through the mapping out of the entire race. So we'll chat before race day. Don't worry.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, September 10th, which means we are 4 days out from the race. I feel like it'd be good to talk a little housekeeping really quickly because there's a lot of parts of like prepping for the race that aren't necessarily about the actual training. So the first thing I actually want to talk through, I'm going to pop up the like course and the route on the screen here. But what I did is I went through and I basically just mapped out like when I'm going to be fueling and what paces I'm trying to hit for each mile. I cannot remember if I've said it, but my updated goal is to finish in around an hour 45, which is like 10:30 average pace. I feel like that is respectable, but it's definitely also going to be a challenge. My average pace for the 10K that I ran earlier this year was 10:20. So I think giving myself that little added grace, adding 4 miles, adding 10 seconds onto my average pace, I think is smart. So I just kind of went through and I wrote out some strategies for hydration as well as the actual race. So I feel like starting like with hydration and then moving into the race is smart. All of this I compiled not only from what I learned in the S&C course, which we did cover like hydration and fueling and everything for endurance athletes, which I would say something that's going to take me more than 90 minutes is definitely more of an endurance race, and also just like watching experts and reading from other people online. So starting 2 days prior, so Friday, I'm going to try and get 60 ounces of water a day. That is based off of my weight and what's recommended. So then again, Saturday, I'm going to be trying to get in 60 ounces of water. And then in the evening, I'm going to have 16 ounces of an electrolyte mix. It's not going to be, as of now, it's not going to be like hot on Sunday. Actually, the weather looks stunning. I think by the time I'm running, it's going to be like 65, 70. Hopefully the humidity is not crazy. So in the morning of, a few hours before, I'm going to have 20 ounces of water and some electrolytes. And then 10 to 20 minutes before, I'm going to have like 10 ounces of water. I don't want to overhydrate because A, I haven't been doing that during my training, and B, I really don't want to stop to use the bathroom. So a few days prior, I'm trying to get like, my body used to being a little bit more hydrated, but I don't want to go crazy. First 2 miles, I ideally want to just be under 11 minutes. So then miles 3 through 8, I'm going to try and stick like around 10:30. My range is going to be 10:15 to 10:45. And even though I'm going to take a gel about every 30 minutes, I do think it's actually going to be more beneficial for me to base it off of mile markers. But I also I've never like fueled during a race before. This is the first time I'll be doing that. So it's going to either end up being every 30 minutes or at these certain mile markers. I think it's going to depend on like where my brain is and how much I remember. But I think the mile markers are going to be a better reminder. So it's going to be 369. Damn good time. Let me see you suck it to me one more time. Get low. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low, get low. Can you see now why I think I'm going to remember better at 369? And my hydration strategy is simply every time I take a gel, obviously I need water, but honestly, like just anytime I feel thirsty, take a sip. I'm really bad at hydrating during the race. I feel like whenever I have to do anything besides just run, it stresses me out. So I did practice on my 8-mile run last week, keeping my gels in my pocket so it was easier to access rather than on my belt on my back. And just anytime I felt a little thirsty, sip of water, clip it right back on. So I do have a client at 10:30, but at 11:30, we're going to head over to the New York Road Runners like run center where you can pick up your bib, get our shirt, get our stuff, and then we'll come home. But I will take you along for that.
All right, we are 2 days out from the race. I just did my final run of training, which was just 1 to 2 miles, chilling in zone 2. And I actually did both of my runs in the treadmill this week because zone 2 training, according to my Fitbit, which we're going to get to in a second, I can only really ever be in zone 2 on the treadmill. I have talked about this in previous videos, but my Fitbit just like, I'll be fine for the first 5 minutes of like zone 2 running on the treadmill. And then all of a sudden it just spikes up to peak and it'll stay there for 15 to 20 minutes until it drops right back down. I was kind of freaking out because the other day I did 2 miles in zone 2 on the treadmill and I was like, why is my heart rate up so high? And I was like, if I'm not done enough base work, oh my God, my heart's gonna explode. I'm gonna have a heart attack during this race. And so then during my run right now, I was like, oh, why don't I cross-reference with what the treadmill says, like when you like grab onto it? 125. While my Fitbit said like 180. So I was like, okay, I at least feel fucking redeemed. I actually have built somewhat of a base. So anyway, I'm buying a Garmin because I can't with this fucking Fitbit anymore. Just had to share that with the class. Everyone keeps asking me, am I excited? How do I feel? I have told myself I have to stop harping on the fact that I'm scared. I am scared. And like, that's okay, but I don't need to dwell in that emotion. And I think giving other emotions a little bit more time on the surface is helpful. I am also excited. I'm also determined. I'm also feeling really fucking motivated to crush my goal time. So that's how I'm feeling, if you would like to ask. And I'm just going to focus on the positive. I know it's going to be hard, but I know I can do it. Talk to you on race day.
Or supine butterfly pose. Maybe you can't get the knees close as I can. Good morning. It's race day. I got up at 5. It is currently 5:40. I think I'm gonna start to eat my breakfast in about 5 minutes. I did wake up with a little bit of like GI discomfort. It feels just like gas though. Can we get rid of that? But I want to make sure I eat in enough time to then use the bathroom. I'm feeling excited. Unfortunately, even though it's like pretty cool, it's like 63 I think right now, which is awesome. It is pretty humid. It's like 88% humidity. The dew point is like 60 I think, which is it's not great. You know, my 8-mile run that I did, like my last long run, it was pretty humid. This was pretty hard. But I also do remember the mini 10K was really humid. I don't didn't feel it that bad. I also really didn't have much to compare it to. Like, it was a hard race. It was in Central Park, which is so much hillier than today. But like, it felt pretty just like normal, especially for June at that point. So I'm not super concerned about it. I actually think my noviceness, my newness is gonna help me because I don't really know like what perfect temperatures feel like, in my opinion. And I trained the entire summer in like armpit humidity, so I think I'm gonna be fine. And I think that's the key today. Like, I could easily let negative thoughts kind of like creep in and determine how I'm feeling, where instead, why don't I just let positive thoughts creep in and determine how I'm feeling? I'm gonna feel nervous regardless, so why not try to like self-talk myself into the least amount of nerves possible. Let's really quickly look at what I'm gonna wear, and then I don't know, we'll keep stretching and getting ready and doing some prep stuff. Sorry, I'm not an influencer. I don't do flat lays. These are just some compression socks, which is great. I did decide my Team for Kids shirt. I wore it for my last long run, which worked out really well. I do have to always cut these shirts, but this is actually the charity that I'm running with. So if you're someone who donated, thank you so much. You are the reason why I'm running this race. So I really appreciate you. And then I have two options. I think, oh, that's a sports bra. This is the Lululemon high neck free something, I don't know. So I'm either gonna wear these shorts, which I did wear for my last practice run, or I'm just gonna see how these feel. These are another Lululemon like biker short. They're a little thick though, which has me nervous about like getting hot, but I really love the pockets in these. And I wore these for the mini 10K in June. So I'm like, okay, I know like I race well enough in them. And then I already packed my gels. I have 3 gels, like we talked about, miles 3, 6, and 9. Headphones I fully charged last night. I got my bib. I got on my little pins, and then I gotta throw some salt sticks into my pocket. And as you can see, I did put on a little bit of makeup. I don't know. To be honest, what I do in the mornings is like I get up, I sit down at my desk, and I just start like putting my makeup on. And I kind of just started doing it naturally, and I was like, throw a little face, just a little bit, a little blush, mascara, make sure we don't look dead. I do have a friend who's running the race with me. I told him, I was like, you can start with me, but I might tell you to like get the fuck away because I run with people, so I don't know how I feel about it. And then one of my remote clients, I just write her programming. She is running this. I believe she's doing the 9+1, but she's a little faster than me, maybe a little more than a little, but she's using this as more just like a recovery race. So she was like, I'm aiming between a 10 and 11 minute mile, and I know that's like where you stand, so if you want to run together. So I told her kind of the same thing. I was like, if I get weird, it's because I don't run with people ever. But I don't know, maybe that'll be helpful. And then I had a few other people reach out just telling me that they're running it, which is fun. I think the thing that I need to do is stop thinking of changing everything at the last second. Like last night I was lying in bed and I was like, maybe I don't bring my little water bottle that I've been practicing with because there's going to be water on the race, and I don't want you know where all this is stemming from? I'm like, I don't want everyone to look at me and how slow I am. Slow is relative, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't want everyone to look at me and see how slow I am, be like, she doesn't even need that water. Like literally I was like, are people gonna judge me for fueling for this? Like I literally down to the point of like, should I not wear those like cool runner sunglasses? Like should I just wear normal ones? Like have I earned it yet? Who the fuck cares, Justina? Just do what you practice, do what you want to do. No one's looking at you, and if they are, that's their problem. So anyway, that's my motto today. Oh, and then I should probably invest in another pair of shoes. We gotta do more research before we start training for a half marathon, but these are the Ultra somethings. I like them because they're a wide toe base, so your feet don't get all smushed, and actually I have noticed a difference. I'm going to do a little more prep, get dressed, eat breakfast, continue eating coffee, and hope I can poop. All right, here's the fit. Got my bib on. I'm gonna put like a black hat on top because it is supposed to be pretty sunny. I did just want to quickly say that I know a lot of the reason people watch these types of videos is to like see what happens during the race, and I did do that in the mini 10K video. I'm probably not going to pick up my phone that much today. I know that sucks, and like I feel that like when I watch running videos, I'm like, damn, like I want to see like in the race action. I am going to need my focus there. If I feel the urge to reach for my phone, amazing, but otherwise I'm going to keep it away, just vibe out. So thank you guys for understanding. We're gonna head out in about 10 minutes.
sleep.
So it's the day after the race. I have let my ego chill a little bit. And let's just start with like my time and everything. So I ended up finishing the race in an hour 49, just under an hour 50, which is basically 11-minute mile pace, which my original goal was that. I then updated my goal during training because I'm very competitive to an hour 45 finish, which is a 10:30 pace on average. And I was pretty disappointed that I didn't hit that, but I more so was disappointed in my inability to overcome obstacles during the race. So let's talk about what happened. So like you had seen in that clip, that morning, like I just was feeling like weird. Like I wasn't feeling like anxious cramps. I was feeling just kind of like weird. I don't know. Like I said, like it felt almost like gassiness in my side. And I just kind of chalked it up to like nerves or whatever. So I did start running the race with a friend of mine and then one of my remote clients, which is really fun. I got to meet her in person for the first time. And they're both faster runners than me. They actually jumped back corrals to run with me because they didn't really, like they're doing the 9+1 program, so they didn't really care about their time. But they're both faster runners than me. So side note really quickly, I'm also really pissed at myself. I can't tell you what my splits are accurately because I forgot to stop my like Nike Run Club app from tracking the run. And then at the end, I realized it was way over. So I went in to like edit it. So it was just the 10 miles and something popped up on the screen that was like, if you do this, X, Y, and Z will happen. And I just clicked it without really reading and it erased all of my splits. So I was like, I would have really liked to know what my splits were so I could kind of assess what went wrong. But I do remember hearing in my ear, the average pace was like 10:20 something. And then for the second mile, it was a little bit lower. And for the third mile, I know I finished the 5K, like the first 5K in like just under 31 minutes. So I was moving pretty freaking fast in the beginning. And I think that was actually mistake number one. Even though it was really like, I had a blast. I had a blast the first 5K. Like the first 5K was pretty much smooth sailing. I was running with friends. We were chatting. It felt like because of adrenaline and just, you know, I'm used to, I ran so many tempo 5Ks during my training. I was like, this feels great. But I will say at mile 2, I did start to get a little bit of a side stitch, which I just kind of chalked up to like, oh, it's really humid. It was like 88% humidity at the start of the race. I'm going a little bit faster than I wanted to start out at. And maybe I'm just nervous. So I took an electrolyte or like a salt tab. That usually fixes it. It didn't help. So we're getting to, I think like mile 4, there was a water station and my friend had already left us. My client was like, I'm going to go grab water. Do you want any? I was like, no, I'm going to keep running. And then I just kind of like peeled off to the right for a sec to stop and try to breathe into the side stitch and just kind of hope that that subsided. My client took off. She's good. Run your race, girl. And I was like, okay, that helped a little bit. And then I start running again and the side stitch is still there. And it's just still there. It's still there. It's still there. And it's starting to make me nauseous. And at this point, I get to mile 5 and I stop to just like kind of walk it out again. And I think this was mistake number 2. And I don't really know if this was a mistake, but I think walking that early, like stopping to walk that early, gave me permission the rest of the race to continue to do it. Because I'm telling you right now, I stopped at least every mile the rest of the race to breathe and, you know, try to get rid of the stitch and like that is fine. So I'm not saying like you can't stop and walk, but I think because I gave myself that permission so early, I just kept knowing it was an option. I felt terrible. I did not have fun. It was not fun. It sucked, honestly. So then I think it was like around mile 6. I was like, how the fuck am I going to finish this? I just couldn't, like, my music wasn't helping. I couldn't get in the zone. I couldn't forget about like how nauseous I was feeling. And then it was hard to fuel because I was so nauseous. And then it was a whole thing. So mile 6, I called Kevin and I was like, you just got to talk to me. You gotta like distract me. I can't talk that much right now because I'm dying, but just like, please talk to me. He's telling me like what everyone's saying online about the Eagles Chiefs game, what he thinks about how our defense is going to do. At one point I was like, why is my toe hurt? He's like, pain doesn't exist. He starts like quoting Rocky IV. So I think at like 8.5 miles, I was like, okay, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to try and just like zone in for the last, mile and a half. It's all downhill at this point. And I did let myself stop one more time just to take my last gel. And then I just ran the rest of the way and I didn't stop. I know one of the big questions people are probably asking, if you watch some of my previous running videos, is that I really wanted to run the New York City half in March. I don't know if I still do. I think what my plan is, because here's the deal. The New York City half is a lottery unless you do, I actually just learned this year, you can do like a 4 out of 6 program where like there's 6 races that qualify you for the New York City half. And if you do 4 of them, then you get guaranteed entry. I didn't know about that. And I don't even think I had been running long enough to even think about it. So what I'm going to do long term here, or longer term, that lottery opens, I think, in October. So next month. And then I think they pick people in November. I told my coach, I'm like, that's in the distance. Let's just, regardless, like keep that in mind, that we want to up our mileage and we want to get me more comfortable with more mileage, not only weekly across the board, but like on my long runs. Because even if I decide not to do it, whether it's through the lottery, with, you know, with a charity like I did for this race, I think I need to figure out, do I actually want to do that? And to do that, I need to run more longer distances like this. So that's like long term, and well, longer term, 6-month term in terms of what's coming ahead. But short term, I do have a shorter term running goal. My family does host a turkey trot every Thanksgiving. If you've been here for a while, you know that at this point. And I would love to run that like sub 30, under 30 minutes. My fastest 5K is 30 minutes and 22 seconds. So I'm like, I think I could actually pull that off. So that's like a short-term goal. I'm just so competitive with myself. And I think I just need to like really be proud a little bit more of how far I've come. Like if I think back even to the beginning of this year, like a 5K was so daunting to me. A 5K now, I'm like, run those all the time. Easy, fun even. So yeah, I need to give myself a little bit of grace. I didn't fail at anything, right? But it feels like failing, and it's like tough to fail in front of people. I think that's one of the hardest things for me. That's been one of the hardest things for me like my entire life. So like sitting here and admitting I didn't hit my goal, I had a terrible race, that sucks. It just sucks. But you know, sucking is part of life sometimes. Sometimes life sucks. And I think that one of the best things we can take from these situations is learning from them. I have learned that maybe I'm not at a point for a longer distance like this where I can run with other people, especially I'd never done that before. I think I learned a few new like tactics and strategies for some longer distances, like giving myself those firm breaks just to fuel for 30 to 60 seconds rather than giving in. Again, I was nauseous, I had a side stitch, whatever. I thought that was a good option, but rather than giving in like mentally to stopping a lot, because I really do think at some point it wasn't physical anymore, it was just mental. I was like, I don't want to run anymore. And I think just learning in general that like this shit isn't linear. And I talk about that all the time with strength training, and like running is going to be the same thing. Your body isn't always going to be there that day. And my body was not there yesterday. So anyway, we're gonna close it out here because I think I've rambled enough. But if you are into the running journey, I encourage you guys to stick around. Who knows if that half is gonna happen, but I can sit here with pride and a bruised ego saying that I have run 10 miles. And that's a lot more than a lot of people. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and watching this entire video. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos, and I will see you in the next one.